Chapter 6, Our Position, Part 2. Two of the most important positions to understand are those of women and children. To reveal the magic of childhood is easy, and this is not to say that they are good or bad. Children are people and have their own nature. Children are the universe freshly aware of itself. The awareness of a child develops through time, as you know. The magic and nature of women is a lot more difficult to reveal because of all our current issues surrounding them. No awareness really likes to be talked about because it feels like it is being pinpointed, discovered, targeted, found, if you will. And since it doesn't even know where it is, how could someone else be aware of their position? Women will say that I do not know what it is like to be a woman, and they are right, which astounds them in itself since they are used to being told that they are wrong all of the time and relish when they are correct. Before I move on, it must be known that women deserve careful consideration and delicate discussion here, and a section all of their own. For all women reading this, I understand that it is difficult to believe that you are not a woman. You are an awareness that did not ask to be born into a body that has many awarenesses of its own that communicate with you non-stop. In this system, I say that we are the universe aware of itself, and I believe that no one should understand this more or better than a woman. Energeticism has a stance on the universal position of men and women. It starts like this. The awareness within a woman's body is just that, the awareness of a woman's body. It is aware of a great many things. Women are the universe, aware of itself more directly than men, and the universe tells them this. Women are reminded of this every month. They are the universe aware of itself through them. They are the carriers of life. Women have a love-hate relationship with this idea. On the one hand, it gives them power, the power of creating and nurturing life, a power that men do not have until the 21st century through science, which in itself is a fact that we all must accept. More on this somewhere else. On the other hand, the awareness did not ask for this power. No one asked for any of this. None of us. You should know what I mean. None of us asked to be born into the position that we find ourselves, be it perceived as good or bad. And so, back to women. Although women know this deep inside them, their awareness does not seem to have much time to reassure them that the universe is reminding itself that it can reproduce through them as their awareness sits by and bears witness to this whole occurrence. Most of us do not think this way about women. Women are predictors of many things because they are constantly reminded that they are the universe aware of itself. They give life. They carry life. They maintain life. They protect life and all that surrounds it. They are ready and prepared to do so for many years of their own, and yet they themselves did not choose to be born into this responsibility and are still forced by birth to deal with accepting and rejecting the responsibility that they are reminded of every month. That they give birth and care for all that is around them and receive pressure to have at least one child. And most women accept this very graciously, partially because they have little choice in the matter given the fact of birth and our societal structure. We all should accept this very graciously. In striking contrast, men are never reminded that they are the universe aware of itself, except when I write books like this. In this way, men have always been more separate from the universe than women. Men are reminded that they are the universe aware of itself by two things. But men are not great listeners and are not adept at paying attention to the subtle signs that are apparent in the universe and mean something to them or about them. They get aroused sexually all the time, and this will cause mass reproduction. The The other, well, the woman gets pregnant and lets him know that the universe has something for him to share with her. By this point, men of this time are usually so confused about their role in the universe that the woman getting pregnant is a complete shocker. And that is exactly how many people, societies, treat the issue, with surprise. Notice, ladies, please weigh your level of surprise against a man's level of surprise. Trust me, men freak out. The universe will now remind them every day that they created a new awareness in this universe. In that men are not very cognizant that they are the universe aware of itself, this enables them to do great damage and perform spectacular atrocities upon the universe, namely us. This is to say that men are more disconnected in general, and literally. I must say, as a man, I can appreciate it while at the same time respecting what the universe does in a woman's body. Women must protect the children and thus must be aware of things that may occur. Therefore, women seem to have a tendency to incessantly predict occurrences that, with their hope, never happen, and most of those predictions, to our relief, do not come true. That is to say, many predictions emanate quite frequently from females of many species of life on this planet. And this is a good thing, or little Billy might break his neck if Mommy had not said so. Who knows? Mommy would rather not find out. Dad says that she must learn somehow, and he is not wrong, but may fail to give assistance when needed, if that all makes sense. This is fear at its finest. Who, historically, has always taught the children in mass? Ladies, I love you, and I want you to know that you are great. All that aside, you remain afraid of all that comes through you because it is so much, and you have always wanted to call it God, and you have taught our children this rubbish, but it is all just what you are. The universe aware of itself. You are reminded of this every month. Men are never reminded of this until you scream it at them, only for them to know that there is no point. Not many humans in the early 21st century seem to understand these things. Women have more energetic patterns running around in their head than most men can fathom, and should give them credit for dealing with them. This allows their brain to connect many more things and predict what the universe will do next. All people have this power, but women are reminded all the time that they have it, and it comes rumbling through their brains and toppling out of their mouths all the time. In an existence where we are already confused about what it all means, it must be incredibly strange having something screaming at you what it all means, and have very few people listen outside of you, and I mean really listen, as a race. You already know what everyone will say, and historically the powerful men have said that they do not want to hear that we need to care for each other, stop killing each other, and that we should come to some kind of agreement. In the past, sometimes men listened, sometimes they did not. This does not mean that women have always been right because their behavior in the past has been equal to that of their male counterparts, as women have helped to teach the world to be afraid of things that could harm us. And that seems to be anything that is vastly different from oneself, such as other strange, savage people, other strange beliefs and ways of living, among other things, not understood by any humans when we taught ourselves all this bollocks. Men and women have done all of this together. Today, we believe that other energetic beings, humans, are aware of us and mean us harm. So we teach this to our children, and we kill each other over water, oil, and antiquated, old, fallacious belief systems. Yes, ladies, I am blaming you for teaching our children to teach our children to teach our children that all that we know and have come to understand today is dandy. God doesn't pull bullets from the skulls of children worldwide, but we may want to take some responsibility for our little part of the universe. Men have always been taught and warned by women of coming events and impending doom. There exists a double-edged sword here. Do the events occur because we predict them, or do they not occur because we predicted them and avoided them? And just what are these silly events anyway? Those who do not learn from the past are stupid, as well as destined to repeat it. Historical accounts are always flawed and many times greatly exaggerated. So, find accurate accounts of the past and learn about the universe in order to make accurate predictions of the moment and the future. Simply being the universe aware of itself does not mean that accurate predictions just naturally follow. Predictions can be accurately possible. One must understand the details of those predictions as well as the events that led to their eventual fruition. If women have accurate energetic patterns in their brains, I believe that they can interpret and predict more than most men can imagine. Many times women do just that, and they are even startled by it. We are all purely energetic predictors. Men, on the other hand, intrinsically know that there is no point to anything. So, men create points to things and destroy other points that do not resonate, agree, or harmonize with their points. The position of men is a simple yet destructive one that all men need to come to terms with so as not to destroy so much that is dear to others that men often ignore pleas from, like I am doing now. I understand my position, and you may thank the many women in my life for some of the ways in which much of this material is presented. In short, in energeticism, men have an inherently destructive nature and women a maintaining and caring nature, as is reflected in the nature of many species on this planet. It is the awareness inside the brains of men and women which has them acting contrary or in conjunction with the body that they were born into. I am basing what I am trying to say solely on the idea that the body of a woman is highly devoted to producing life and that men have a hard time respecting what that really means. It means that the universe is very active within a woman's body, and if we may admit, I believe that it is active to the point that it can drive an awareness crazy with the overloads of fear, emotions, and energetic possibilities. You know how complex these issues can be, and thus far, I really do not think that I have given women the full credit that they get from this belief system. I am but a man. There is plenty of accurate documentation on the very real differences between men and women. Regarding our position, I only mean to point out that before we are men and women, we are the awareness of being human at all. From there, we can work to understand the differences between the bodies that we were born into without a choice. I will say that our perceptions of women historically have been horrible, cruel, and invalid. Many parts of the world are changing their perceptions right now, and not quite fast enough. We are not all that surrounds us, but awarenesses of it. When you identify yourself as a thing other than an awareness, you cannot call that thing that you see in your mind's eye yourself. You are not beautiful. You are none of the perceptions that you have of yourself. You are not the perceptions that others have of you. How can you be a perception of yourself when you are yourself, perceiving yourself? I do not mean that your face is not well defined like your body, for you are neither of them either. You can feel your body and all its parts. You know you are not your foot, but you would like to say that it is part of you. Well, how do you feel when you lose it? Do you feel like you have lost a part of you? No. You are an awareness of your foot when you are thinking about your foot wherever it is. Let's go extreme here for you. I've always wanted to tell this to you, and I really hope it comes off well. Let's not stop at your foot. I know this is hard for you, but there is a point. Legs, both of them. Let's just say that they disappear painlessly. They just vanish. You're still aware of this. You do not like it because you can't go anywhere without your chair. Maybe this will give you some freaking empathy as well. Empathy, imagining that you are in someone else's exact position in their life in this universe. Now we erase your arms. I know you were holding this book, but now you will need to use your mouth stick, which is pretty technologically advanced, to prop the book up and turn the pages. Luckily, we haven't taken your eyes yet. So, we next take away everything from the neck down and put your head on life support. Your body is gone and it feels nothing because it is gone, and you feel nothing that it feels because it is not there. Your sense of touch is almost completely gone, and you, somehow, are still quite aware of all of this. That is because you are in your brain, and that is where you live your life. Still don't believe me? Our eraser has some funny work here. Your eyes and optic nerves, gone. Ears and all mechanisms that conduct sound patterns to your brain and you, gone. Mouth and tongue, deleted. You see, I could have been mean about all of this. And finally, we do away with the oldest of all the senses, the nose. I will gently wipe away all the rest of the nerve endings around your brain, only to find that the machine that your brain is hooked up to indicates that your limbic system is going wild. We have technology to actually understand quite a bit of what you are thinking because you are thinking, because it is still so new that this really sucks. Now let's keep you in there for another 90 years. You are very lucky that I left all the neurons in there for you to play with and create new worlds for yourself, just like what you have done on this planet. This is really not so different than how we live our entire lives, in our heads, creating whatever we want and giving it in various ways that humans should not be proud of. While you exist like this, I will present to you an island that you can go to at any time when you are hurting or someone is abusing you. This island is one of an infinite number of places that you can conjure up in your mind to go to when you would rather not be wherever you are. Surround yourself with this for a few moments. The water is perfectly clear and beautiful to swim in. There are parts that are very cold and nice to drink from. The sand is perfectly warm. In fact, everything is perfect. It's your island. I build fires on mine all the time. Love fires. Controlled fires. The rest is for you to imagine. I'll see you there. While I have you as just your brain, we will erase a few other things that you will not need. Look at your ethnicity or cultural identity that you hold on to so dearly. Without it, you'd be lost. From my point of view, that is everyone. Every aspect of your dear ethnicity is an array of patterns that you observe like a holiday. As an observer, you are not the things that you understand and see. You watch these patterns go by at certain times and decide whether you will act on them. The extent to which you do act on them determines the extent to which you will perceive yourself to actually be those patterns. At those moments, you are those energetic patterns aware of themselves. You are very nearly not you. You are lost when your awareness decides to be or identify with an energetic pattern or a group of them. I find myself lost often. You should find yourself after having been lost for so long. If you understand all of this, well, then you are doing all right. Before you forget, like you always do, and while you are still only your brain, I would like to take away a few other parts for you. You do not have to take them away, but just realize their fragile nature. We should start simply with something weird, some weird little habit. will take away your tendency to put people down to make yourself look good. Many animals do it. So, in your brain, you still put people down, but it is because they are apparently causing a lot of distress to some other aspects of the universe. But you are just a brain now. Unfortunately, you are perceiving that as a disadvantage. And you would because you are so used to the way that things are and were for you. Let's go further and do away with your perception of your culture and your ethnicity, for you are neither of these that you identify with. Strange, huh? You no longer have all these thoughts directing you to act in certain ways. You get to start from scratch, making up some other stuff to ponder. And imagine, if you had a body, you could go tell all these new things to those who are closest to you. If religion was in your culture that you just lost, then you are a step ahead of the game. All that you believe about why, when, and for what reason you are here at all, when time began, when it will end, and how you got here, and all that anyone has ever told you in an attempt to answer these questions will now be erased. Now, you get to either make up a whole bunch of stuff so that you can proceed in thought, or reserve judgment on many of these things and base everything else on these reserved judgments. With your inability to perceive anything clearly, I would be hesitant to base my life on any of the things that you came up with, but I would entertain them with you. Now let's take everything that you call you, your identity. Your name is now forgotten, date of birth and where, who knows? Everything you were taught by everyone on how to be on this planet with others. You also lose all perception of others. You are still there. You can choose from anything that this planet has to offer, and you can learn anything you want. You are not any of the things that you have perceived yourself to be over your entire life. You are neither man nor woman, and not perception nor homosexual. You think that you are a man or a woman. Moreover, you identify yourself with this characteristic that you had no choice in being. You have infinite perceptions of what that means. Again, you are not your perceptions. You think you are black. Black is a culture. White, Asian, all of these things that we perceive ourselves to be limit what we are able to develop into. You may think you are homosexual. Your body and parts of your brain and your universal position support your behavior, yet you are perceiving it and it cannot be you. This is not to say that you may not relish in whatever it is that you think you are. You should. But realize that you observe all of this and decide to participate. If you do not know what this is saying, then you have probably already decided to participate in some crazy aspect of our existence, and it is hard for you to follow this out of that. So, if I lost you, I apologize for you. You are an awareness of everything encased in a body. This is your position. You are an awareness of yourself. You can do anything you want to yourself, inside or out. You can be black, gay, Christian, humanist, tree hugger, volleyball player, violinist, engineer, or a masochist. You can choose to believe whatever you want. I set you free only to corral you. We have already tried to follow all kinds of junk. That is our position. We are the universe aware of itself. We have created and discovered all that we have created and discovered. Sounds redundant, I know, but you don't seem to understand the simplicity of realizing our position. If you do, then don't be offended. People are suffering because of what we have done, and people are stupid because of what we have done. Again, if you are not, then don't be offended. If you realize that I am talking about you, then keep reading and absorbing and learning. Feel free to throw this book now and go find out for yourself. You will learn, like everyone else, the hard way. This is to only give you a better platform to understand what you are walking into. Everything you see and that is presented before you is some organization of energetic patterns, like what you are looking at right now and listening to. These are merely patterns. How they fit into the big picture is up to you and the rest of the people who take them in. Look up from this book. Look around. Your family members are energetic organizations that put out patterns and take in patterns and process patterns. You give them a lot of the patterns that they process. Look at everything in your surroundings. You will see the thoughts of humans who did these things in the past. Their thoughts were patterns, and so were their actions to produce all that you see. Then, there are things we did not create. At this point, I would like to mention that you often think about all these things as nature in order to differentiate between humans and animals. That is incorrect. We are all nature, and all of our actions and creations occur naturally. Landscapes, trees, plants, animals, living organizations of energy that do exactly what they are doing. You do not know what they do, but some people research these things and present them on the channels of Discovery or National Geographic. Very interesting stuff. I now give you back everything you lost over the last few pages. You have all your skin back, but oops, it's a different color. And oh no, you're the opposite sex. You begin to notice that everything is different. I did that on purpose. You were born on the opposite side of the planet with a different culture and different set of beliefs, and you don't remember what you believed before because I erased it. You do know, however, that there was something different entirely that you lived and believed. You know that people around you just made up all of this stuff that is new to you, but they obviously do not know anything is different like you. You could show them some of the stuff that you know, or you could force it upon them if you could only remember. But you woefully cannot. You must live their ways because you know no different. Maybe you'll figure out something new that you can share and contribute to your new society, or something you can force upon them and make them subservient to your rule. Your choice. And when you look up from this, you will be you again. You have all your beliefs right where you left them. They are very resilient and have been fortified, strengthened for hundreds of thousands of years and tears before they were bestowed upon you by all those who surround you. As a reminder, from Tenet 2, I am aware. Before we perceive ourselves as bums and businessmen, farmers and factory men, mothers and martyrs, blacks and bishops, whites and widows, way before we say that we are men and women, as we know we are, before we admit that we are the animals on this planet with the rest, before we say that we have all the parts or dropped them some time ago of the organisms on this planet, before we kneel down to say that we are humans and hobos, we must understand first that we are the energy of this universe aware of itself. I say this because people have a tendency to be what they believe themselves to be without knowing what they are. So go on and be a dictator, an alcoholic, a pervert, a true man, a down nigger, a pig-headed wife beater, a human who knows no better and can't, if that is what you want to believe. As an energetic being, you have to believe something, don't you? What are you? In our minds, after we are energetic beings, after we are human, and after we divide us up as men and women, the differences that we are aware of are all fabrications of our feeble yet powerful minds. All other ideas that divide populations of people are figments of our imaginations. We seem to take these things very seriously and believe them to be real. This is our position presently. Being the universe aware of itself is not good nor bad. Only perceptions are good or bad. Humans don't seem to be able to trust their collective perceptions. Our position is neither good nor bad without our perception of it. Our position is just our position. We have families here on Earth. We have neighborhoods. We have towns and cities. We have nations and continents of people. We have many different languages. We have many different belief systems called religions and philosophies that are all just energetic patterns that we may or may not focus our attention upon. Have I mentioned that many people feel it necessary to kill others who do not believe as they do? This is our position. Given our position, we can work to make it better for us and everything else on this planet, or we can continue to destroy ourselves without being aware of it. This is the position that I see from my side of the elephant. This book and the deeds that follow are my response. Our position is not difficult to understand at all. All the things that distract us every day from being aware of our position are quite difficult to understand as we continue to make up new stuff to preoccupy our frightened minds and distract us from realizing the position that people typically have not liked to entertain for long periods of time and usually laugh off the conversation or become enraged at not knowing the answers. In our apparent position, we can't assume that there is purpose or reason to the things that we do, what we are, why we are, and so on. From what we can see in this universe, we are very small on this planet, and there seems to be no reason for anything whatsoever. Everything is totally meaningless. Most religions base themselves on the idea that there is some kind of a reason for us being here and some kind of a reason to and for everything. Most people assume that there is reason for and to everything, and that there is worth to human life, that we are children of gods and that we are here to carry out their plans. Purpose is taken for granted by many of us who, when asked, could really not say what our purpose is as a race. Most belief systems are based on this idea that we have some purpose, usually thought of as greater than we can know. We should come from a foundation that we are not important and that there is no apparent reason for us being here at all, as it appears. Then we can start attributing purposes to everything like we do. We live and die and really can expect nothing from all of this other than what we are experiencing right now and all that we care to foresee for others now and in the future. Everything in this universe happens exactly as it must. Every moment of change happens exactly as it must. In this way, the universe is perfect and occurs, moves perfectly. All that we perceive as perfection, most of the time, is only perfect to and for us. The moment is perfect, and how we operate is the universe acting perfectly. Perfection is neither good nor bad, and your perception of perfection is far from perfect, unless it is not. I know that this is more of a semantic point, an argument about the meaning of words, and I say it only to enunciate a point. Without us to perceive what we think is perfect, the universe remains perfect according to all that we currently think. Why should that change when you add us back into the picture? Oh yeah, because we kill each other and ridicule each other and force each other to believe what we want others to believe, or we punish them. I almost forgot. Thanks for questioning me. If you start with the entire universe and perceive its functioning as being perfect, then people tend to act perfectly psychotic given all that they've been through. You see crazy, strange, unusual, weird, and different things become easier to understand. Those who do not understand their position in this universe often find themselves victims to it and of it. Without all the rhetoric and explanation, we are the universe aware of itself on a planet that we have named Earth. We didn't name our moon, our solar system, or the sun. Our galaxy is called the Milky Way. We are in the middle of an infinite timeline. We are amidst apparent infinite space. This is our position. What we have done in light of this position is inexcusable and requires that we make strides to correct how we think about our position, or else we may continue persecuting each other for no apparent reason on all levels imaginable. I would have loved to explain our position as it looks from the moon and in much more pleasant terms, but when I come down to earth, I find that we have been put into a very difficult position. Who put us in this position? We did. We have created races, men and women, work, and all the other things that we do for the alleviation of boredom, and we do not know what to think about it all. We have done this to ourselves while none of us chose to. Our position is the position of all the atoms in the universe right now. What do you make of it? And what should we do now? And that concludes chapter 6.